The only thing better than enjoying some delicious farm-fresh tomatoes this summer is that pride that you feel knowing that you grew them yourself. And joining us now is Master Gardener Ed Sourdiffe, and he's going to show us how to perfect our tomato plants. I couldn't even get that one out, Ed, but thanks for joining us regardless. Well, now, it's not too late still. You can still get a good plant if you buy it at the store at this point in the summer.
Yeah, if you didn't plant your own seeds earlier on and you still want to get in a last-minute garden, the garden centers still have some pretty good plants out there that you can still start your tomato plants and other plants for your garden. And it's
cost-effective too, because these days at the grocery store you're paying $2, $3, $4 a pound for tomatoes. But if you buy a plant yourself, it takes a minimal amount of work and you make your money back so quickly.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're selling plants now. I mean, look at these tomatoes. That cherry tomato there, they're already turning red. I already have eaten some cherry tomatoes off of that tomato plant. This one, these will be turning red pretty soon, these big, large red tomatoes here. So you really will get your money back right away.
And there really is that pride, too, when you eat something that you've grown yourself from infancy. It just tastes a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, and then you know if you're putting pesticides on it or not, and you don't have to. If you really treat the tomato right, give it good soil, good water, good everything else that it needs, you won't have to use pesticides, so you'll know you're doing a healthy product for you and your family.
Well, we want to do it right. We don't want to put those pesticides in, but also you have so many tips for us, because tomatoes, while they're fun and easy to grow, there's some pitfalls that you can find. So how do we avoid some of those pitfalls?
Yeah, tomatoes, basically, if you have a tomato plant and you actually you can either plant it in a container like this, or you can plant it in the garden. What the tomatoes actually really prefer and really like is to actually have a really warm temperature. So this time of year is perfect to get them out there. They like it 50 and above at night. The warmer the better. So that's one thing. The other thing with tomatoes is they like constant water. Not saturated soil, but they don't like water soil that goes dry to wet to dry to wet or anything like that. They like a nice, constant, even moisture. So keep them well watered.
What's a good time of day to water plants?
Usually they say actually in the morning, or during the day where the water can evaporate off the leaves if you get any on the leaves of your plants, because that would create a fungal situation where you can get fungus.
Oh, so you don't want to get any water on the leaves?
Well, especially tomatoes. Tomatoes do not like that at all, because they will be susceptible to fungus.
So then let's say we're watering this. Do we want to just kind of get real low and almost cup the water? Right?
Yeah, you could have your soaker hose down here soaking it and just let it run. And tomatoes can get really deep roots, even up to 5 feet if you have really good soil. So you want to really soak that soil deep for the tomato, not splashing anything on it. And if the soil's splashed on a tomato, that's where you get pathogens up there too. So another good thing to do is to mulch around your tomatoes. And you can either do that with, like, even grass clippings can work. And the reason for that is to just keep that soil from splashing up on the tomato plant. You might notice if you grow tomatoes that the leaves start dying from the bottom up. So if you keep that soil off of the tomato plants, that won't happen. You won't get the diseases. They also use plastic mulches now. They use, and you might have seen that, like a black plastic that the tomato's growing out of, that will keep the soil warmer. The tomato will like that. They also have red plastic now that Cornell has been investigating, and it actually supposedly makes your yields better. And they don't know why, but they said that it does. So
now, another thing for people to keep in mind, if they're smokers, it's imperative that they wash their hands before they touch the plants.
Yes, because tobacco sometimes has a virus associated with it, tobacco mosaic virus, and that can be transferred to the tomato plant. So if you're a smoker, don't smoke around them and don't touch them. If you smoked it, you have to wash your hands first.
Yeah. So they're kind of sensitive, but at the same time they're rugged.
Oh, they are, yeah. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, the things that they really like and preventative things. I mean, tomatoes, as long as you're not splashing water all over them, they get really warm temperatures. They'll do fine for you. There are a few things that do happen out there that people worry about. Sometimes you'll get blossom drops, where the blossoms that will be the flowers that become the tomato fruit will fall off. And the reason for that is because the plant is undergoing some sort of stress. It might be too hot, too cold. It might be in a pot like this where it's dried out or something. So that's why you would get that. So if you stabilize the plant, give it what it wants, you won't get the blossom drop. There's other problems like when you have a tomato and you look at it on the vine and there's like a black mushy end to it, they call that blossom end rot. And what's happening there is you probably have a calcium deficiency. And if you underwater or overwater your tomato, that will happen too. You'll get that. So you You want to just keep that watering constant, and then you won't have that problem either.
Now, Ed, let's talk about ways to make these plants flourish, because I notice in both of them there's stakes that the tomatoes kind of vining up. What are different ways that people can support their plants as they grow up?
Oh, there's plenty of different ways. I mean, you can see there's a wooden stake in these, which we will actually pot these up into a bigger pot. These are way too small. And this will support it. They just have some twist ties here, hoping to hold the tomato up. They also sell cages like this, which is just a basically wire that's put together. The plant would come up the middle. It's able to hold on here. If this is too flimsy in the weather that you have, all you have to do is put some big stakes in it, 2 in the 4 corners or even 2 corners, and tie it to that. This will support the tomato. You can also do, they have plastic supports, such as this. It'll last you forever. And
So if you don't want to go with wood.
Yeah, if you don't want to go with wood or
that. Attacking me over here.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had it over here.
There we are.
Yeah, there.
Safe and sound.
Okay. So you could do this as your stake also. They sell these, but actually bamboo is a renewable resource. It's really lasts a long time, and you can easily make like a tripod out of this.
Like a bamboo teepee, more or less.
Yeah, so all you would do is basically tie it at the top, and then you would just tie it here and hang a string like this with
Much
this
like
twine
this.
Yeah, down the middle. And you could put this in the garden or in a pot like this, and then just tie the tomato to this in the center, and that'll hold it up. And this lasts a long time, the bamboo, actually. It doesn't rot that quickly.
And this makes so the plant grows up as opposed to out, and so it can maintain it, because it's a pretty viney plant.
Yeah, it is. The older plants, the heirlooms, are what they call indeterminate, meaning they keep getting taller, and will grow until frost. The modern tomatoes like this are called determinate, meaning they'll get to a certain height and then they'll stop growing taller. So these are actually a lot easier to use now.
Now, Ed, lastly, let's talk about fertilizers and ways that we can keep the soil around our plants safe.
Okay, well, fertilizers, you don't want to ever use something like if you have extra lawn fertilizer, which is a lot of nitrogen.
They don't mix.
Yeah, the tomato won't like that. What you'll do is get a lot of great green foliage, but you won't get a lot of tomatoes. So what you want to do is get a nice balanced tomato fertilizer. You can do either organic, or you can do, the green box here is even specially for tomatoes. You can buy that, so that'll be a good thing.
And I'm sure people can go to their local plant store and everyone can instruct them as to what to get.
Yeah, they can tell them exactly what to get. But really with tomatoes, like I was saying, the important thing is really the moisture in the soil. And like these guys, if you are going to put them in the container, the minimum size container you should do for a tomato plant is 1 foot square. 2 foot square is even better. The bigger the tomato pot for the tomato, the better, because the more constant the moisture will be, and the tomato won't go through a lot of extremes. So that's a good thing to know also.
Ed, these are some great tips. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I know a lot of people out there, they're growing tomatoes, so hopefully they can be bigger and safer. Yeah. And if you want more information to view these tips again, just visit us online, mymassappeal.com, later today.